Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you with an action figure today that I'm absolutely excited about. We're going over the McFarlane Toys Mortal Kombat 11 Shadow of Spawn. And I'm going to be honest, I grew up just madly in love with Mortal Kombat. When it came out, it was just like the bee's knees. But as I've gotten older, I'm not too much of a fan anymore, so feel free to make fun of me down in the comments. But when I saw this Spawn figure, I had to get it. Speaking of which, if you guys do want to pick this up at the time of this recording, it is available on Dorkside Toys. But first and foremost, always, please support your local comic shop and see if they got this in stock. First, if neither places when you've seen this video have it, it's also currently available on Amazon. So as you can see here, you get the cool Mortal Kombat logo, the cool Shadow of Spawn, just the McFarlane Toys, and I love right here where it says not a toy. Damn straight. We're collectors. It's an action figure. You come around to the side, you get the cool McFarlane Toys logo there. Mortal Kombat, you come around to the back, and oddly enough, it's a product shot of Scorpion, or it's more of an artist rendition. But still, you know, Scorpion's always been my main man, so I can't complain too much there. And the more I look at it, I may pick it up. Let me know what you guys think, if it's a cool figure or not. Coming back around the side, oddly enough, again, another product shot of Scorpion. Go figure, figure, pun intended. Nothing on the bottom, just a see-through window on the top. So with that said, is this a cool figure once you get it out of the box? Well, let's find out together. Here's Spawn out of the packaging, and as you can see, you get him posed, you get some sort of diorama going on. He looks absolutely freaking spectacular. I'm glad that I picked up this version of the Mortal Kombat 10-1. The other one, we'll talk about that later. Now, that's not to say with this figure that there are some things that are going to chap your hide and, drive you up the wall and frost you there. There definitely is a few things that I feel that the design team could have done better. But overall, I'm thrilled with the design of this Spawn. So let's take him down and get a closer look at him. Now, before we dive into this awesome Spawn figure, let's kind of do a quick backstory on Spawn, since this is the first Simmons Spawn action figure we're going over. So the figure in and of itself is based on his debut as the final downloadable playable character in Mortal Kombat 11. So, kind of to go on a little anecdote, speaking of video games, I'm really wanting to reacquire the 1995 SNES Spawn game. I had it as a kid, got rid of it. And if any of you have it for sale, preferably in box, I'd be very thankful. Now with that little anecdote aside, Spawn was created by Todd McFarlane, apparently at the age of 16, and his first appearance was Spawn #1 from May of 1992. Albert Francis Simmons was once a very intelligent, physically strong, and highly decorated officer in the U.S. Marine Corps. He later joined the U.S. security group commanded by Jason Wynn and became a capable assassin. Wynn grew tired of Al's increasing sense of morality and secretly hired Simmons' friend and partner to kill him. And that's when Al was burned to death and sent to hell, where, he made a deal with the devil. Now, I cannot pronounce this guy's name to save my life, but Malbolgia? Oh, wow, that sounded horrible. Malbolgia, I think is how you pronounce it, and to become a Hellspawn and serve him if he was allowed to see. He said he would serve him. Okay, we're back on track. If he was allowed to see his wife, Wanda, one last time. So I'm just going to call him the devil because Malbolgia, I cannot pronounce his name, all these years later. So the devil agreed and returned Spawn to the land of the living in a daze, off balance and disoriented. And he only had vague recollections of his past, and all his knew was his name and that he died. He was also given a demonic guardian named the Violator, aka Clown. Spawn would eventually remember his deal with the devil and find his wife Wanda, who's now married to his former best friend Terry, with whom they finally have a daughter named Cyan. And he realizes, and this is the kicker of the story, that 5 years has passed since his death. And with the help of a fellow Hellspawn, Al learns his powers that are fueled by necroplasm, and that once they're depleted, he returns to hell. So Spawn, not wanting that, finds a new purpose in stopping evil while using his power as little as possible. Now, Spawn was released through Image Comics with McFarlane, who helped co-found Image Comics along with Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri, Eric Larson, Jim Valentino, and Willis Portacio. And from what I understand, Chris Claremont was also kind of a silent partner as well, as you see that he had a lot of work during that era. So that's awesome. Their departure from Marvel was coined the Exodus due to several of these artists' work on the X-Men titles. The first issue of Spawn, I think, sold 1.7 million copies and is still one of the best-selling comics, on a consistent basis, which is true. I mean, this book still goes and goes, and it's still, for the most part, consecutively good. And it's probably why I've been a long-time sucker for Todd's toy line with his attention to detail with figures like we see here. I highly recommend the comic series if you haven't read it. Image Comics and what it brought to the comic community was innovative, and it definitely belongs in the pages of pop culture history. So now that you guys have kind of rolled with me through that little backstory on Spawn and Image, let's talk about the what are those things called that come with the figures? Accessories. Let's go over the accessories. So first and foremost, as per usual, we get the stand, which kind of both blowing. Boo! Boo you! But I like that it says Mortal Kombat. It's cool, especially, if you want help, make sure he doesn't fall off a shelf. You got that. Now, what drives me nuts, and I enjoy it at the same time, we're going to put Al back here for a second, are these chains. He comes with 2 of them. And I don't know. I guess I wish that... Okay, let's put it this way. We're in 2022 now. I think it was back in 2020 when they released their first Batman. No, wasn't the Batman Who Laughs. 2021, I think it was, when they released the Robins, the evil Robins. They came with actual chain. I hate that. I mean, they're cool. They're bendy. Awesome. And I can understand for safety reasons, since he sells the majority of these in the kids aisle, which... Well, not the Mortal Kombat ones. They usually end up in the collectibles with the NECA. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, I just feel like these would have been a hell of a lot better as bendy wire, like Mafex or something, And they have the pegs here in the back. So if you take Mr. Simmons here, flip up the cape, you'll see that he has 2 pegs here in the back. Let's take this one, for example. And maybe... And you can kind of get a... if you're patient enough, you can get a cool design. Let me back up a little bit here. But... I hate about plastic compared to like bendy wire, like the Mafex Batman that we went over, is the fact that, look at this. Oh, I want it to come up here. Nope, there it goes. Okay, well, what about maybe here? Nope. No independence whatsoever. So this is why I hate these type of accessories, because they look cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to bash that. I mean, maybe a little bit of a black wash on them to make them look a little more dingy would be cool. But still, they look nice, but I hate this, because there's no independence to this. I mean, you want to try to stretch it out, and there it goes right back to that. That's so damn frustrating. So damn frustrating. So I don't want to use these. Yeah. Let me see what in our social media pages. Let me see what type of, there goes Spawn. Let me see what kind of cool, shots you've done with these, because I can't stand them. I don't care that much. Now, talking about the figures, since I'm now completely agitated about non-bendy wire, what do you call this stuff? barbed wire. He looks good. I like that they made sure the eyes are very green. The face is very akin to the old school Spawn, as is the way his collar was always popped like so. I do wish that these were bigger, but again, this is based off the video game version, so there's going to be a hodgepodge of old school, new school, which is not bad, but still, I kind of wish, because when McFarlane first released his toy line, you know, they were more kind of like the old Wildcat figures that we saw. And then as time passed, he made them more statuesque, which they were beautiful, but you couldn't do jack with them, especially the Spawns. When they were in a crouch, they were in a crouch forever, man. So being able to have a nice, articulated, good-looking Spawn, it would have been nice to have some more spikes like this one. These spikes here, they look so good. I mean, nice stuff there. There. Belt, old school fist on this hand, and then he's got the big ass boot on this foot, which is cool. That's an old trademark with the spikes looking good with the silver and the red regular foot there. But I can't remember if he had a big thing on his leg in the old school comics or not. It's been a minute since I've read them, but you know, here his design of the black with the V shape here looks good. The red, they made sure not to shirk us on the back, because I mean, even when you pull up his cape, you get a skull there above the rump. Looks great. 90 pouches, always of necessity. And that's what I liked about Spawn, is his cape, for example, was always like a character in and of itself. And that, even though the 90s movie wasn't that great, I appreciate that the cape very much had much of a personality. And this goes back to my gripe of, I wish that we can get away from these hard plastic capes. Like, this isn't even as soft as like a lot of the multiverse figures. This one's a lot harder, and it's jammed in right here at his back, so it doesn't go up as high. So if you want this to flare up, you're really gonna have to warm it up and let it dry and be very patient with it. I wish that bendy wire soft capes would become just like a status quo for figures, because this hard plastic stuff, like if you want to make him sit in a throne, like even when they released that new Spawn that sits on the throne, they couldn't even give him a cape. Like, it's cut off here, and all you get in terms of the figure is this top part, which I think is absolute bullshit. So even though this looks good with the layering, yeah, to be able to have like a big flaring cape that you could do whatever you want with instead of this, yeah. So I think the only thing in terms of the paint apps and the way he looks, the cape's the one thing that irks me the most. But because that's just kind of status quo on a good majority of figures, I can't damn this thing in and of itself. It's beautiful, and I'm happy with it. So talking about the, what's that thing that this thing does? Articulation, and I will say this again because I always do. First and foremost, always warm up your figures. I've already had 2 fall victim. When we did the Grifter one, I didn't warm up his hand enough, so when I tried to spin it, it snapped off. And then the Violator, you guys saw what happened with the Violator, and I don't want to talk about that because it's still heartbreaking. So yeah, always make sure to take some sort of step to warm up your figures before you do anything with them. Now, with that said, no further ado, head can go down about that much, and I'm glad that there's a gap here so you can at least get Spawn to look up. And of course this way, and it is loose on the ball joint, so you can get a little bit of play and action there, so that's great. Arms do 360, out that way, upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and I'm glad that the ball joints are not predominant on this figure, because that would irk the gurk out of me. So up, down, all around. In this one, you can't really do that. You can do your best with this hand, but because of that, you're limited, which is frustrating, but you have it at least, so good stuff there. And then can twist and shout from there at the solar plex, and as well from the waist. So you get a great range of motion for nice dynamic posing like so, which is great. Just make sure to line it all back up when you're done there. can look down that much. Hey, how's it going? You can go back that far. Legs out. Woo, that sounded scary, didn't it? I was like, oh shit. Ow. If you guys can't tell, I have not had enough coffee today, so I'm just running on complete nerves, so bear with me. Legs out that much. Legs out that much. Double jointed knees. And he sounds like I do. Crack, crack, crack. And then, of course, the loose butt flap, so you can almost go 90 degrees on this figure. So, you know, Hasbro, we're looking in your direction on that, buddy. Can kick out again that far. Foot go down, foot go up, foot go wiggle, wiggle. And then, of course, the toe pivot. I remember when the multiverse figures first came out, and I saw this, and I was like, that's so stupid. But now it's like I can't live without it, because it works so great for crouching and running positions that, yeah, I've gotten spoiled on it. So, yeah, paint apps, articulation, good stuff all around. Now to just kind of compare our Spawn that we just went over, I thought, let's go down memory lane. But first, to kind of recap here from the Spawn universe that's just recently dropped, here's two of the ones we've already gone over, because we've gone over the Soul Crusher and the Gunslinger, which I'll make sure I leave links through this review. But there's the new Violator, Clown, and the new Violator after Spawn number 300. But come on, you got to see that even though these older ones, silly though they may kind of be, they really paved the way for what we have now. This Violator in particular irks me. I don't know if it's because of age, but this one, he will not stand up. But he can stand up almost as tall as this one in the back. But A, he doesn't have a foot pivot. It's like that. And if you try to get him to stand up like the Violator's supposed to, oh, he made a liar out of me. He's going to stand up for you guys. Phil Special. That's the first time I've been able to make him stand like that without a frickin' stand. And I bet you 10-1. Now looking at the sneakiness, it's because him and Clown are holding hands right there. But yeah, if we hadn't, see, there he goes. So I have to crouch him down to get him to stand correctly. But yeah, it's Todd McFarlane. Yeah, I know I'm saying, but yeah, I haven't had enough coffee. Forgive me. I love that mouth. I love that one does it too. But anyway, if McFarlane hadn't taken the chance and, you know, done his toy line, we wouldn't have gotten the ones we do. Yeah, they have their issues, small feet, some bad articulation here or there, but they always deliver in terms of looking super sexy. And I mean, look at this. I want a Todd. Wow. I want a Spawn that has a bendy cape wire that can go all over the place, like in the comics, so that when we put him up against any of these guys, that cape's going to go everywhere like it did in the books. But until then, I'm happy to have a Spawn that's relatively comic accurate, even though it's from the video game line. And then the Clown, Violator, and I love having these two older ones. They make me smile, especially, I always love the honeycomb look of the eyes on the Violator. I always thought that was a really cool addition. So anyway, now that we're done gushing, let me know what you guys think of these figures down in the comments below. I thoroughly enjoyed this Spawn. My only problems, again, and this is with any figure, the only single closed fist. I mean, come on, why did they come out with the first Mortal Kombat 11 figure and he had two open hands? They released this one that has a more classic Spawn look to it. And they're like, hey, let's just give the fans a closed hand. That was a very stupid move. My only other gripes is I wish that, you know, places like Hasbro and McFarlane would start taking the idea from Mafex, because when you read Spawn, his cape always has, you know, its own personality. And to just be able to see a big flowing cape like the Mafex Batman one, forget about it. That would just be awesome, especially around the collar area around his neck, you know, the way it always flows independently of him. That's awesome. I do like the concept they did with the chains and how you can peg it in the back, But as you can see, you go against classic chains, and then you see these big, bulky plastic ones. I would have preferred, and this is just about with any other figure, bendy wire. And then somehow incorporate these type of chains. I think that McFarlane would have really knocked it out of the park. But for what we have, this figure is absolutely amazing. It has the best representation of kind of the new Spawn, the way his uniform's kind of been going forward with the OG look. So I can't nitpick too much, but there are just those few things. And then of course, give us some effects. You know, not everybody does digital art and they want effects. So, you know, I got these chains, for example, you know, in terms of accessories at a craft store. I think it was Hobby Lobby or Walmart, one of the two. And so you kind of see how that just looks on him, and you're like, oh, that looks so delicious. But, you know, like some ectoplasm effects or whatnot, that would have been, you know, just off the chain to have that, to use an old school term. So with all that said, overall, if you guys are wanting a Spawn that looks close to an original look, this is definitely up your alley. And even if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if this has been traded in, or if your local comic shop ordered it. If not, then we can check out the places that we talked about at the beginning of the review. Speaking of, if you have enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Spawn bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys are notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, photo slideshow coming up next. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading. Thank you all so much for stopping by, and happy hunting, true believers.